Okay, so we have a bunch of sprites here. We have a face sprite, and we have mouth shapes here that all start with mouth1 underscore. This is so you can have multiple sets of mouths for maybe for different characters. You can have anything at the beginning here, just as long as there's one mouth shape for each of these shapes and it ends in the letter. And these shapes are going to match up to these mouth shapes that are listed here on the main GitHub page of Rhubarb Lip Sync. There's an A through H and an X, which is the sort of the neutral resting state. Just need a sprite for each of those, and these mouths have to be directly inside of a folder called resources. That's important. It doesn't have to be inside of a folder called sprites, but I like to keep them organized that way, as long as it's inside of a resources folder. So we're going to go to our parent object, the face, which is just a sprite renderer showing the face. As a child, we have the mouth. I have mouth X in there right now. And make sure order in layer is 1 for the mouth and 0 for face. Just means your mouth is going to be drawn on top of the face at all times, which is what we want. Now in here I have two audio files. One is a WAV file and one is an OGG file. These are the only two audio formats that you can use because they're the only two that are supported by Rhubarb currently. These are poems that we're going to hear in a moment. And I also have two text files, which is just a typed up version of what's being said in each of the audio files. These are optional. You don't have to supply these, but you'll get a much better result from Rhubarb if you do. So we're going to go to our parent object face and add a lip syncer 2D. Just a few things we have to fill out here. Drag the face onto the parent object. Source audio, we'll do Casey first. Apply the text file for that. Mouth renderer, you can just drag the mouth object onto it and it'll grab the renderer from it. We're going to save it as Casey. And now we can just hit Analyze Audio and generate animation. This will take a little bit of time depending on how long your audio file is. This one in particular is pretty long, so we're going to skip right to the end. Okay, so now in animation/resources, we see we have a file called Casey. This is how we're storing the animation. It's basically just the Rhubarb data and the name of the audio file at the top, so we can load it all from one file. Really quickly, I'm going to do another one for the other poem that I have here, and we'll skip this. So now we have our two animations, and we can see on our face, we've added an audio source and a lip sync animator 2D. So in here, this is the script that's going to be playing back lip sync animations, and we're going to add the prefix that was on this particular set of mouths. Mouth1 underscore, and then it'll add the mouth letter. This transition frames right here is just sort of going to fade in between mouths. 0 or 1 are pretty good settings for this. Everything else looks a little weird. So I don't really recommend doing 2 or 3 or any higher than that. And AV Sync will be able to help time lining them up if they're a little bit off from each other, the audio and the video. So now we're pretty much done. I'm just going to add some buttons so we can demonstrate here. So chances are you won't be using buttons like this, but you'll be calling this from whatever kind of dialogue manager you're using. But this gives you an idea of how you would do it. You would get the lip sync animator 2D object that's on your parent object and call play animation and give it the name of the animation that you want to play. So let's hear Casey at the Bat.
Casey at the Bat by Ernest Lawrence Thayer. Read for LibriVox.org by Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio. It looked extremely rocky for the Mudville Nine that day.
You can interrupt him with a different one.
Blue Squills by Sarah T.
Start it over.
Blue Squills. by Sarah
This would just be
Teasdale.
transitioning by
Read
calling
for
play animation again with a
LibriVox.org.
different name.
Casey at the Bat by Ernest Lawrence Thayer.
So just to
Read for
look
LibriVox.org
at
by
this.
Leonard Wilson of Springfield, Ohio.
AV sync is in seconds.
It looked extremely rocky for the Mudville Nine that day.
So this is
The
just
score
delaying
stood
the
4-6 with
visual
just an inning
animation
left to play.
to help line it
And
up a
so
little bit
when
more.
Cooney died at first and Burroughs did the same, a pallor
it's behind
wreathed
there.
the features of the patrons of the
It's
game.
more or less lined up.
A straggling few got
So
up to go,
these transition
leaving there
frames,
the rest
if I have
with
0,
that hope
we're only
that
seeing the
springs
one mouth.
eternal within the human breast.
If I have
For
1,
they thought if
then we have
only
this second
Casey
mouth
could get one whack at that, they'd
sort of
put up
fading
even
out
money with Casey
on
at
top
the
of
bat.
it in between.
But
I think
Flynn
1 looks
preceded
decent.
Casey, and
but
so
if we go up to
likewise
2,
did Blake.
it starts
But
getting
the former
kind of
was
blurry,
a pudding, and the latter was a fake.
and that's just no good.
So
we're going
on
to keep
that
that at 1.
stricken multitude a death-like silence sat, for there seemed but little chance of Casey's getting to the bat.
So that's about it. I'm going to have links to everything I used here, including my Unity Rhubarb Lip Syncer and to Rhubarb Lip Sync itself. And feel free to comment here or on GitHub if you have any questions or if you're having any problems or if you have any ideas of things that you'd like to see added to it. Just reach out and I will see what I can do. Thanks.